The Arctic wind howled across the crash site as Dr. Maya Chen led her research team through the blizzard. Visibility extended barely 10 meters ahead, but the alien ship's emergency beacon cut through the storm with pulsing blue light. Radiation levels normal, she reported into her comm unit. Approaching the hull now. The vessel resembled nothing in Earth's aerospace archives. Its sleek, almost organic design suggested technologies far beyond human understanding. Scorch marks marred one side where it had hit the atmosphere at the wrong angle, but remarkably, the structure remained largely intact. Central Command, we have potential first contact, Maya transmitted, requesting immediate diplomatic protocol activation. Inside the UES Dauntless, Admiral Elena Zhao received the transmission while reviewing fleet diagnostics. Her 5 vessels, Dauntless, Resolute, Intrepid, Defender, and Guardian, represented humanity's first genuine attempt at interstellar vessels. Though small compared to the massive colony ships under construction in Earth orbit, these warships incorporated every hard-earned lesson from humanity's tumultuous history. Security teams to full alert, Zhao ordered, her voice calm despite the historic implications. Recall all personnel from shore leave. I want every system at 100% readiness in 6 hours. Lieutenant Commander Jackson raised an eyebrow. The alien vessel is disabled, Admiral. Intelligence suggests a single occupant, possibly injured. And its distress beacon is broadcasting across 16 frequencies we've never used. Zhao replied. That signal could reach anywhere in the galaxy. We need to be prepared for whoever comes looking for their lost pilot. Back at the crash site, Maya's team had managed to breach the alien craft's emergency hatch. Inside, they found the pilot, a humanoid being with blue-tinted skin and 4-fingered hands, unconscious but alive. Medical scans showed a biological system not entirely unlike their own, though with significant differences in organ placement and cellular structure. We need to stabilize and transport, Maya decided. The cold works in our favor. It slowed their metabolism. But we need xenobiologists and linguistic specialists immediately. Within 3 hours, the alien was secured in a specialized medical facility beneath Geneva. When it regained consciousness, the being identified itself as Sorrel, a scout from the Galactic Consortium. Through a combination of gestural communication and the universal language of mathematics, Earth's linguists gradually established basic communication. Your world, not on charts, Sorrel explained through the rudimentary translation matrix, found by accident. Storm in void-damaged systems. What Sorrel revealed next sent shockwaves through Earth's leadership. The Galactic Consortium comprised 7 advanced species controlling territory spanning thousands of light years. Humanity had been observed from afar but classified as pre-spaceflight until recently, when Earth's quantum signature experiments had drawn attention. My beacon will bring others, Sorrel explained. Protocol for new species, assessment and integration. In the Dauntless Command Center, Admiral Zhao studied the preliminary reports with growing concern. They've been watching us, she noted to her senior staff. And now they're coming in force. Should we recall the colony expedition to Proxima Centauri? Asked her executive officer, Commander Reyes. Zhao's eyes narrowed as she studied the tactical displays showing her 5 warships, humanity's best hope if the coming integration proved less than friendly. Yes, she decided. We need every ship and crew we have. Humanity is about to make its galactic debut, and I intend for us to negotiate from a position of strength. As the Dauntless engines powered up, preparing to rendezvous with the returning fleet, long-range sensors detected unusual energy signatures at the edge of the solar system. The consortium delegation had arrived sooner than expected, and in far greater numbers than anyone had anticipated. Humanity's first contact was about to begin. The Eternal Harmony glided through space with a grace that belied its enormous size. Within its command center, High Ambassador Valkar studied the holographic representation of the Sol system with all 6 of his eyes, each focused on different data streams simultaneously. "Fascinating development patterns," he murmured, manipulating the display to highlight Earth's orbital infrastructure. "They've prioritized defensive platforms over comfort habitats, most unusual for an emerging species." Senior anthropologist Mirren, a willowy being with translucent skin that revealed flowing currents of luminescent fluid beneath, gestured toward Earth's military installations. "Their resource allocation suggests persistent threat perception, despite no external enemies. They prepare for dangers that don't exist. Or dangers we don't understand," countered Valkar. "Their historical records show multiple extinction-level events that shape their evolution. Perhaps they've internalized crisis as a constant." The consortium's preliminary assessment team had compiled extensive data on human civilization through long-range observation and intercepted transmissions. Their technology indicated a species that had developed along an unusual trajectory, leapfrogging certain expected advancements, while investing heavily in others typically considered secondary by most spacefaring races. "Their warship designs particularly concern me," noted Defense Coordinator Peltak, a heavily armored reptilian being who rarely left his environmental support exoskeleton. He magnified the images of Earth's 5 interstellar vessels. "Primitive propulsion, yet advanced weapon systems. Minimal crew comfort, maximum structural integrity. They build as if expecting combat, not exploration." Valkar considered this analysis thoughtfully. In his 3 centuries of diplomatic service, he had overseen the integration of 17 new species into the consortium. None had approached first contact with such obvious military preparation. "Perhaps it's merely their nature," suggested Marin. "Their entertainment broadcasts consistently feature conflict narratives. They may simply conceptualize space as another battleground." Aboard the UES Dauntless, Admiral Zhao received the first detailed sensor analysis of the approaching consortium fleet. The alien vessels dwarfed anything humanity had built, the smallest matching the size of Earth's largest orbital habitats, the largest comparable to small moons. 27 ships in total, reported Lieutenant Santos from the sensor station. Configuration suggests 17 are diplomatic or support vessels. The remainder appear to be escorts, though their weapon systems are difficult to categorize. Zhao studied the data with careful attention. "What strikes you as unusual about their design philosophy, Lieutenant?" Santos hesitated. "Ma'am, they're beautiful rather than practical. Massive internal spaces that serve no obvious functional purpose, minimal external armor. Power systems concentrated rather than distributed. They'd built space cathedrals, not warships." "Exactly," Zhao nodded. "A species confident in its safety designs differently than one accustomed to threat. The question is whether that confidence comes from technological superiority or centuries of peace." Across the solar system, Earth's defense networks activated silently. Automated systems tracked every consortium vessel, calculating firing solutions even as diplomatic channels prepared for first contact. The Security Council had approved Admiral Zhao's contingency plans. Humanity would extend a hand in friendship while keeping the other near its weapons. In the medical facility beneath Geneva, Sora watched the preparations with growing concern. "Your defensive posture, unnecessary," he tried to explain to Dr. Chen. "Consortium seeks peaceful integration. Then they have nothing to fear from our precautions," she replied diplomatically. "On Earth, trust and verification go hand in hand." As the consortium fleet entered the middle solar system, they broadcast their formal greeting in 27 human languages simultaneously. "People of Earth, we welcome you to the greater galactic community. Prepare to receive our diplomatic delegation and begin integration procedures." What the message didn't say, what Valkar chose to omit, was the consortium's internal classification of Earth as a Category 3 civilization. Technologically capable but culturally underdeveloped, requiring guidance and oversight rather than true partnership. It was a miscalculation that would soon become apparent to both sides. The orbital meeting platform hung suspended between Earth and the Moon, its transparent walls offering breathtaking views of humanity's homeworld. Earth's delegation had arrived first, setting a subtle psychological advantage. Admiral Zhao stood slightly behind the diplomatic team, her uniform crisp and unadorned compared to the formal attire of the political representatives. "They're approaching," whispered Vice Admiral Tanaka, Zhao's second-in-command. Through the transparency, they watched as the consortium shuttle, an elegant vessel resembling an iridescent teardrop, docked with practiced precision. The airlock cycled, and the alien delegation entered. 7 distinct species moved into the chamber with varying gaits and postures, their environmental suits suggesting different atmospheric requirements. High Ambassador Valkar led the procession, his scaled form towering over the human representatives. "Greetings from the Galactic Consortium," he began, his translated voice resonating through the chamber. "For millennia, we have guided emerging civilizations into the greater community of worlds. Today marks Earth's invitation to join this prosperous alliance." Earth's Secretary-General stepped forward. "We welcome the opportunity for mutual exchange and look forward to learning about your civilization as you learn about ours." The carefully worded response, emphasizing mutuality rather than guidance, caused subtle shifts in the aliens' postures. Admiral Zhao noted the reactions, cataloging which species seemed displeased by Earth's implication of equality. As formal introductions proceeded, Valkar presented the consortium's standard integration treaty on a crystalline tablet. These terms have successfully integrated dozens of worlds. They provide technology sharing, protection, and trade rights in exchange for resource access and adherence to consortium law. Earth's legal team began reviewing the document while discussions continued. Admiral Zhao activated her augmented display implant, scanning the treaty's details discreetly. Her expression remained neutral even as she noted concerning clauses, restrictions on independent military development, mandatory resource quotas, and limitations on territorial expansion. "This assessment period is unnecessary," suggested Commander Zexol, the reptilian military representative. "The terms are standardized for species at your development stage." "On Earth, we have a saying," responded the Secretary-General. "The devil is in the details. We'll need time to ensure these terms align with our sovereignty requirements." An uncomfortable silence followed before Valkar smoothly redirected the conversation. "Perhaps a cultural exchange while your experts conduct their review. We've prepared presentations on consortium history and technological achievements." As the diplomatic dance continued, Admiral Zhao's sensor drones silently gathered data throughout the platform and beyond. The information fed directly to her neural implant, confirming her earlier suspicions about consortium vessel design. "Their life support systems have no redundancy," she sub-vocalized to her security team via encrypted channel. "Power distribution is centralized rather than distributed. They've never designed for combat scenarios or catastrophic failure." Meanwhile, Earth's negotiators identified 27 clauses requiring modification before any agreement could proceed. Each polite request for amendment drew increasingly strained responses from the consortium representatives. "These terms have been accepted by every Category 3 civilization," Zexol finally stated with obvious frustration. "Category 3?" the Secretary-General inquired, voice deliberately neutral. Valkar shot a warning glance at his military counterpart before explaining. "A simple developmental classification. It refers to civilizations with interplanetary capabilities, but limited interstellar experience." Admiral Zhao stepped forward slightly. "And what responsibilities does the consortium hold toward Category 3 civilizations? Protection, partnership, or supervision?" The question hung in the air, revealing the fundamental disconnect between the consortium's perception of humanity as primitives requiring guidance and humanity's expectation of equal standing. Before Valkar could formulate a diplomatic response, alarms blared throughout the platform. On the external displays, multiple small craft had detached from the consortium fleet and were accelerating toward Earth's atmosphere. "It appears," Admiral Zhao stated coldly, that some members of your delegation have chosen to expedite our discussions. Commander Zexol's command center aboard the Righteous Authority hummed with activity as his squadron of 12 interceptors entered Earth's upper atmosphere. His scales rippled with satisfaction. Centuries of diplomatic service had taught him that emerging species responded best to demonstrations of technological superiority. Maintain formation pattern dominance 6. He instructed his pilots. Energy shields at full display luminosity. I want their primitive sensors to register our presence clearly. The sleek Vricarian fighters descended through the atmosphere in perfect geometric formation, their hulls glowing with iridescent energy fields designed to impress rather than for practical defense. Their intended flight path would take them over Beijing, New Delhi, and Tokyo, Earth's most populous regions. Atmospheric insertion complete, reported his lead pilot. Detecting multiple targeting systems activating below, Commander. Zexol dismissed the concern with a flick of his ceremonial command staff. Expected behavior. Their defensive systems are recognizing unknown signatures. They lack the capability to interfere with our demonstration. Aboard the orbital platform, chaos erupted as the consortium delegation received reports of the unauthorized flyby. High Ambassador Valker's scales flashed crimson with anger and embarrassment. This action was not authorized, he insisted to Earth's representatives. I am attempting to recall the vessels immediately. Admiral Zhao was already in motion, striding toward the platform's secure communication hub. Mr. Secretary, I recommend you continue discussions while I address this situation directly. In the Dauntless Command Center, Lieutenant Commander Jackson had assumed temporary command. His fingers flew across the tactical display as global defense networks activated automatically. Multiple unknown craft entering restricted airspace over Asia, he reported as Admiral Zhao's secure channel connected. Automated warnings broadcasting on all frequencies. No response from intruders. Deploy interceptors but maintain safe distance, Zhao ordered. Open a direct channel to the lead alien craft. Across the planet, Earth's defensive response mobilized with practiced efficiency. Hypersonic interceptors launched from subterranean bases, taking up escort positions alongside the alien squadron. Orbital defense platforms swiveled silently, weapons systems powering up, but not yet targeting. Inside his fighter, Subcommander Trelligs noticed the human vessels matching their course. Commander, indigenous craft are mirroring our formation. Their technology appears more advanced than intelligence suggested. Maintain course, Zexol commanded. Increase energy field intensity by 30%. The display will demonstrate our technological superiority. A communication request flashed on his console, direct from the human flagship. Zexol accepted with casual confidence. Attention unauthorized craft, came Admiral Zhou's level voice. You have entered sovereign Earth airspace without clearance. Reverse course immediately, or we will interpret your actions as hostile. Zexol's mandibles clicked with amusement. This is Commander Zexol of the Consortium Defense Force. Our presence is merely educational. Your species will soon understand the benefits of consortium protection. Final warning, Zhao responded, her tone unchanged. Our automated defense systems are designed to respond independently to perceived threats. Energy field fluctuations register as weapons charging. In his command center, Zexol signaled his pilots. Initiate synchronized energy pulse, non-damaging but visually impressive. Let them witness true technological advancement. The Vricarian fighters simultaneously intensified their energy fields, creating a brilliant display visible from the ground below. To human defense systems, however, the power surge registered as weapons systems, activating above major population centers. Automated protocols engaged instantly. From 12 different locations, pinpoint countermeasures lanced upward, not destructive projectiles, but precision electromagnetic pulses designed to disable rather than destroy. 3 Vricarian fighters suddenly lost power, their sleek forms tumbling through the atmosphere as emergency systems failed. The remaining 9 scattered in confusion as their supposedly impenetrable shields collapsed under the precisely calibrated human response. Commander Zexel stared at his command display in disbelief. "Impossible," he whispered, watching this primitive craft recovered his pilots from the disabled vessels. In that moment, the consortium experienced something it hadn't felt in centuries: genuine surprise. Alarms blared throughout the consortium flagship as tactical officers struggled to process the unthinkable. 3 elite fighters disabled by a supposedly primitive species, and the diplomatic summit dangerously close to collapse. All vessels, combat formation Aegis, ordered Fleet Commander Drulvik, the most senior military officer in the consortium delegation. Defensive screens to maximum. Prepare response options. The massive alien ships moved with surprising grace, forming a protective crescent with weapons systems powering up. Earth's 5 warships seemed almost laughably small in comparison, like wolves facing a herd of elephants. On the dauntless bridge, Admiral Zhao watched the tactical display with composed focus. "Deploy to formation stalwart," she ordered. "Weapons systems hot but safeguards engage. I want targeting solutions for all consortium vessels, but no aggressive action." The human ships accelerated smoothly into a defensive wall between Earth and the alien armada. Their hulls were functional rather than beautiful, studded with point defense turrets, sensor arrays, and modular weapon platforms. Maintenance hatches and repair drones were visible across their surfaces, ships designed with the expectation of damage. "They're scanning us intensively," reported Lieutenant Santos from the sensor station. "Multiple frequencies, deep penetration scans." "Let them look," Zhao replied calmly. "Maintain open comm channels on all frequencies." Inside the consortium flagship's tactical center, Senior Analyst Mivra studied the incoming data with growing concern. "Fleet Commander, these human vessels have unexpected design features." The holographic display highlighted various aspects of the Earth ships. Distributed power systems with no central core, triple redundant command centers, heavily armored crew compartments separated by emergency bulkheads, and weapon systems designed to continue functioning even if half the ship lost power. "Their design philosophy is fundamentally different from ours," Mivra explained. "Where we centralize for efficiency, they distribute for survivability. These vessels are designed to continue fighting even after sustaining catastrophic damage." Fleet Commander Drulvik studied the analysis with narrowed eyes. "What about their offensive capabilities?" "Primitive by our standards, but..." Mivra hesitated. "Their targeting systems are extraordinarily precise. The disabling of our fighters wasn't lucky, it was surgically executed. And their point defense grid density exceeds our own by a factor of 3. High Ambassador Valkyr joined them, his scales still flushed with anger. "The diplomatic channel remains open. Earth's representatives insist this display was merely defensive, not aggressive." "A distinction without difference," growled Drulvik. "Their ships are moving to engagement positions." "Not quite," corrected Mivra, highlighting the tactical display. "They're establishing a defensive perimeter around their planet. They haven't attempted to flank or surround our vessels." Valkyr studied the positioning thoughtfully. "A species that prioritizes defense over offense. Interesting." On the Dauntless, Admiral Zhao opened a direct channel to the consortium flagship. "This is Admiral Elena Zhao of the Earth Defense Fleet. We request immediate de-escalation and return to diplomatic protocols. Our response was automated and defensive in nature. We have recovered your pilots and stand ready to return them unharmed." The message was calculated, professional yet firm, offering reconciliation while demonstrating capability. As the consortium leadership debated their response, Earth's sensor officer made a startling discovery. "Admiral," Santos reported quietly, "I'm detecting minimal shielding around their central command sections. Their largest vessels have less internal compartmentalization than our smallest shuttles." Zhao's expression remained neutral, but her mind processed the implications immediately. The consortium built ships for grandeur and comfort during long voyages, never truly expecting them to face combat. Their size projected power, but their design revealed a civilization that had forgotten the necessity of survival-oriented engineering. "Continue broadcasting on all frequencies," she ordered, "and inform Earth Command. We may have discovered why the consortium has enjoyed peace for so long. Their ships aren't designed to fight wars. They're designed to prevent them through intimidation alone." The revelation shifted the strategic calculus entirely. Earth's warships might be smaller, but they were built to survive what the consortium vessels never expected to encounter. As tension mounted between the two fleets, an unexpected transmission cut through the communications channels. Sorrel, the crashed scout who had spent weeks among humans, had managed to access the consortium emergency frequency from his medical facility in Geneva. "High Council, I request emergency speaking rights." His voice wavered slightly. The formal request invoking ancient consortium protocol that even military commanders couldn't override. High Ambassador Valkar exchanged glances with Fleet Commander Drulvik before responding. "Granted, Scout Sorrel. Your insights may prove valuable in this unexpected development. You must cease aggressive posturing immediately," Sorrel said, his tone urgent. "Humans interpret your fleet formation as preparation for attack. Their defensive systems are automated and will respond proportionally to perceived threats." "Their systems disabled 3 of our most advanced fighters," Drulvik countered. "That exceeds proportional response." "No," Sorrel insisted. "Your fighters were disabled, not destroyed. Their systems identified power fluctuations as potential weapons charging and responded with precision countermeasures designed to protect population centers with minimal casualties. Had they perceived true hostile intent, the response would have been far more severe." In the secure command center beneath Geneva, Dr. Maya Chen watched as Sorrel continued his transmission. Weeks of studying human history and technology had given the alien scout insights no other consortium member possessed. "During my recovery," Sorrel explained, "I accessed their historical archives. Humans have survived multiple extinction-level events, some natural, some self-inflicted. Their engineering reflects this history. They build redundancy into everything because they've learned through catastrophe that systems fail." On the tactical display, Sorrel highlighted specific features of human vessel design. "Their ships appear primitive because they prioritize different technologies. Notice the distributed power systems, the separate command nodes, the manual override capabilities. They can lose half a vessel and continue functioning because they anticipate worst-case scenarios in ways we've forgotten." The consortium tactical team conducted fresh scans of Earth's orbital infrastructure, confirming Sorrel's assessment. Irradiation hardening on human vessels exceeded anything the consortium employed, designed to function even during solar storms that would incapacitate consortium systems. Their material composites distributed energy rather than deflecting it, and their command systems operated with surprising independence. "Most concerning," added Senior Analyst Mivra, highlighting a new sensor reading, "Earth's orbital defense grid has been quietly positioning behind our fleet while we focused on their visible warships. We're effectively surrounded." High Ambassador Valkar's scales shifted to a thoughtful blue hue. "You suggest their defensive posture is culturally ingrained rather than intentionally provocative." "Exactly," Sorrel confirmed. "They prepare for disaster not because they seek it, but because they've experienced it repeatedly. They build warships not because they desire war, but because their history has taught them to anticipate the worst while hoping for better." Admiral Zhou's voice came through on the open channel once more. "Consortium Fleet, we await your response. Our diplomatic team remains prepared to continue negotiations on equal terms." The phrase "equal terms" resonated through the consortium command center. For centuries, the consortium had approached emerging civilizations as benevolent superiors rather than equals. Earth's unexpected defensive capabilities now forced a revaluation of that approach. Valkar made his decision. "Stand down military posture," he ordered. "Return to diplomatic configuration." As the massive alien vessels powered down their weapon systems, Valkar opened a direct channel to Admiral Zhou. "Admiral, I believe we have much to learn from each other. Perhaps we might continue our discussion aboard your vessel rather than our own." A gesture of respect from the consortium to Earth. The request was unprecedented in consortium history, acknowledging Earth not as a primitive civilization to be guided, but as a potential equal with unique perspectives worth understanding. In that moment, the path of human consortium relations fundamentally changed. The dauntless observation deck had been hastily converted into a meeting space for the unprecedented summit. Admiral Zhao had chosen this location deliberately. The transparent ceiling offered a breathtaking view of Earth below and the massive consortium vessels above, a visual reminder of both worlds' stakes in these discussions. High Ambassador Valkar moved carefully through the human vessel, his escort of engineers studying every visible system with professional curiosity. The ship's interior revealed even more about human design philosophy than external scans had suggested. "Your life support systems have 5 independent backups," noted Trelven, the consortium's chief engineer, examining an exposed maintenance panel, "and manual override capabilities for essential functions. You could lose all power and still maintain survivable conditions." "Antarctic Winter Protocol," explained Lieutenant Commander Jackson, who led the tour. "All Earth vessels must maintain life support for 30 days without primary power. It's based on a historical disaster from our early exploration era." Throughout the Dauntless, similar exchanges occurred as consortium specialists encountered human engineering solutions that approached familiar problems from entirely different perspectives. Where consortium ships emphasized comfort and efficiency, human vessels prioritized redundancy and survival under worst-case conditions. In the ship's engine room, Trelvin gestured toward the power distribution network. "Your design is inefficient by our standards. You sacrifice at least 20% of potential energy output to these distributed systems." Chief Engineer Rodriguez nodded. "But if we lose any single power node, the system automatically reroutes. We can lose up to 60% of our power generation capability and still maintain essential operations." "You expect to be damaged," Trelvan realized. "Your entire design philosophy assumes partial destruction." "We call it Murphy's Law," Rodriguez replied with a slight smile. "Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. So we design as if it already has." Meanwhile, Admiral Zhao led High Ambassador Valkar through the command center, where tactical displays showed both fleets in their current positions. The tension had eased, but Earth's defense grid remained vigilant. "Your vessels possess technologies we haven't mastered," Zhao acknowledged. "Your propulsion systems and material sciences exceed our current capabilities, yet you've applied these advancements differently than we would have." Valkar's scales shifted to a contemplative blue. "The consortium has enjoyed relative peace for over 2,000 years. Our conflicts are primarily diplomatic, rarely physical. We've designed our vessels for extended voyages and impressive diplomatic presence, not combat survivability." "Different evolutionary paths," Zhao noted. "Earth's history includes multiple extinction-level events and numerous global conflicts. We've learned to build for resilience rather than efficiency. An approach we've forgotten," Valkar admitted. "Our historical records suggest our ancient vessels shared more design similarities with yours. Over centuries of peace, we prioritized comfort and aesthetics over survivability." As these exchanges continued throughout the ship, both civilizations began mapping the differences in their development. The consortium had achieved remarkable technological advancements, but applied them toward ease and comfort. Humanity had developed technology specifically to overcome threats and ensure survival under harsh conditions. On the retrofitted observation deck, the diplomatic teams made surprising progress on treaty revisions. The consortium's initial proposal for Earth's protected status had been replaced with a framework for mutual exchange and genuine partnership. "Your species possesses knowledge valuable to the consortium," Valkar acknowledged to Earth's Secretary General. "Not merely technological, but philosophical. You've maintained an awareness of fragility that we've lost over millennia of stability." As the day's discussions concluded, Admiral Zhao, stood at the viewport watching shuttles transport personnel between the fleets. What had begun as potential conflict had transformed into something unprecedented in consortium history, an emerging civilization being recognized not as a junior partner, but as an equal with unique contributions to offer. "They build for the stars," she murmured to herself. "We build for survival. Perhaps together, we can achieve both." 6 months after first contact, the orbital shipyards above Earth buzzed with unprecedented activity. The newly commissioned UCS Cooperation floated in its construction cradle, its sleek hull representing something truly revolutionary, the first joint human consortium vessel. Admiral Zhao stood on the observation platform alongside High Ambassador Valkar, both watching as mixed crews of humans and various consortium species moved purposefully across the ship's exterior, installing the final components. "The hybridized power core exceeds our original specifications by 23%, Valkar noted, reviewing the technical data on his crystalline tablet. "Your engineers' insistence on distributed redundancy actually improved overall efficiency rather than reducing it. And your faster-than-light technology integrated perfectly with our navigation systems," Zhao replied. "The jump range is twice what we could have achieved independently." The cooperation embodied the rapid evolution of relations between Earth and the consortium. What had begun as near conflict had transformed into the most productive technological collaboration in consortium history. The resulting partnership had sent ripples throughout known space. In the diplomatic forum on Europa, Earth's Secretary-General addressed the full Consortium Council, now expanded to include humanity as the 8th member species. "Today marks the completion of our first joint defense fleet. 20 vessels incorporating the best of both our technological approaches, ready to ensure stability across consortium space." The announcement caused visible reactions among the assembled representatives. Several species from the outer territories, previously considering border expansion at consortium expense, had rapidly reconsidered their positions when news of the human consortium alliance spread. "The hegemonic combine has withdrawn from 3 disputed systems," reported Security Coordinator Mazrek. They cited reassessment of strategic priorities, following observation of our joint military exercises. What remained unspoken but universally understood was the nature of that reassessment. The demonstration of human warship durability combined with consortium technological sophistication had created a deterrent more effective than either civilization could have established alone. Back at the shipyard, Admiral Zhao and Ambassador Valkar boarded a shuttle to the Cooperation for the official commissioning ceremony. The vessel's interior revealed the true extent of the cultural exchange. Consortium elegance blended with human practicality. Comfortable crew quarters featured emergency systems accessible behind every panel. The command center combined the consortium's holographic displays with Earth's distributed control nodes. "The Joint Academy's first graduating class takes their positions aboard tomorrow," Zhao noted as they moved through the corridors. 300 officers trained in both our protocols. "An experiment many thought impossible," Valkar acknowledged. "Most consortium species require 2 years to master basic command functions. Your officers completed the curriculum in 8 months. Adaptability under pressure," Zhao explained. "Another survival trait we developed through necessity." As they entered the main bridge, the mixed human consortium crew stood at attention. Captain Maya Chen, formerly Dr. Chen, who had first discovered Sorrel's crashed scout, stepped forward to greet them. "Admiral Zhao, Ambassador Valkar," she said formally. "The UCS Cooperation stands ready for commissioning and maiden voyage." The ceremony itself was brief but historic. As the Cooperation's engines powered up for the first time under operational conditions, sensors across the system registered its unique energy signature, neither fully human nor fully consortium, but something new. From the observation deck, Zhao and Valkar watched as the vessel smoothly departed the shipyard, its course set for the edge of the solar system, where the rest of the joint fleet awaited. "We arrived expecting to find students," Valkar reflected, "and instead discovered teachers. Your warships shocked us not because they were more advanced, but because they revealed our own complacency." Admiral Zhao nodded thoughtfully. And in return, you've shown us possibilities we couldn't have imagined alone. Perhaps that's the greatest strength of both our civilizations, not what we know, but what we're willing to learn. As the cooperation accelerated toward its rendezvous, distant observers beyond consortium space took careful note. The unexpected alliance had changed the balance of power across the galaxy, and not all watched with friendly interest. But that, as they say, is a story for another day.